Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and today our guest is Amy Ziff, the CEO and founder of Made Safe. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Devin.
We're thrilled to talk to you. You are an expert on getting rid of the toxins in our lives that are putting our children at risk and damaging our own health. And we're thrilled to get some insights from you because I think most of us travel through life without appreciating how many of these toxins we're exposed to every single day. Now, give us this story, kind of your founder story. Where did all of this come from?
Sure. So about 5 years ago, I considered myself just kind of a regular mom. I had one child and then suddenly had three because I had twins. And when you become a twin mom or you're anticipating becoming the mom of twins, you kind of listen to everybody around you. They tell you what you have to do. And I did things a little bit differently, mostly because I wanted to be, I wanted to plan. So there was a certain breastfeeding pillow that I was told to get because it's really hard to do this juggle and you must have the breastfeeding pillow. So I bought that. I stocked up on the diapers, the wipes, the creams, the lotions, and lo and behold, my little babies arrived. Thankfully, luckily, fortunately, very healthy. Two 7.5 pound babies, in fact, and took them home. Yeah, it was crazy. And took them home only to find out that they were having reactions, allergies, almost what looked like abrasions on their skin. Every time I would breastfeed them on the pillow, they would vomit. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Why? I was just going, why? What is going on? I was a Whole Foods shopper and a self-declared greenie. And so I thought I'm using perfectly good products, And so I started to look into it. I have a master's in journalism and I'm curious and I wanted to know the answer. So what I found set me off on the journey that led to Made Safe. And it was, to say the least, astonishing and horrifying because everything that I had presumed to be true, that in this nation of, America, we would pioneer the best products. And when I say best, I mean not just from a performance standpoint, but of course from a health standpoint, right? Of course we would do that. That's what I thought. Like most of America thinks. And what I found out was that couldn't be further from the truth. We have become a nation that puts profits ahead of people and that really values or really doesn't value the science behind each and every ingredient that may go into products that we use and surround ourselves with. So my children were kind of like canaries in the coal mine, sort of showing me something's going on and their fragile systems don't like it. And so once I learned that, I started to remake the way we lived and I couldn't stop. I like to say it was this moment where I fell off the cliff and I was in free fall and I was in free fall for a while, but then I found my wings, figured out how to fly, and I just wanted to be able to share the information with others because I knew I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person who wanted to be able to find products that weren't known to cause any health harm. It didn't seem that hard, but yet the FDA and the EPA are kind of failing us because of the regulations that we have. So I thought, here's a problem. As an entrepreneur, I am trained to think about, find problems in the marketplace and solve them. And so I wanted to solve this for other people who also were interested in finding products that didn't contain what I consider very basic things. I don't think a product should contain a behavioral toxin, neurotoxin, developmental toxin, reproductive toxin. Just simply, right? Shouldn't be in there. If we know that those are elements of harm, why should we put them in our products? I don't think they should contain carcinogens or endocrine disruptors or things that are not yet decided. So where we would exercise what's become known as the precautionary principle. And the precautionary principle just sort of stipulates that if we're not entirely sure, maybe we should exercise caution, err on that side. So we don't allow GMOs, we don't allow nanoparticles, things like that. And we have a list of about 10 kinds of chemicals, the way we parse them, and we simply don't allow them. Then we look at every single other ingredient in a product. There are over 85,000 ingredients used in the products that make up all of this stuff we use today. And we simply go through the ones that we don't know with a chemist and do predictive modeling and analysis and look at, is this something that looks like it's going to be toxic? Is it bioaccumulative? Does it hang out in the environment and not degrade for eons? Does it show general toxicity, whether in the air or elsewhere? And is it toxic to aquatic life? Because when you think about this, we must take a 360-degree approach to solving this problem, because if something has a downstream effect, even if it looks like it doesn't bioaccumulate, which means build up in our bodies, ultimately it's coming back to us. And so we take this holistic approach, and that's really what we do at Made Safe, and a bit about why. Well,
Amy, I want to go back to that breastfeeding pillow, and I realize this is a tangent, but
Sure.
But I think it sounds to me like a really interesting case study, right? There was something in that pillow that was toxic. Did you ever figure out what?
Yeah, so I could give you long names of chemicals, but what was in the foam in that particular pillow, which, by the way, for me, it smelled so bad, I had to keep it outside. I was living in Northern California at the time, and I would keep it outside. That didn't even occur to me that it was that it would be these chemicals in there. I just kept it outside and brought it in when I needed it. And then when I found this out, it contained potential behavioral and developmental toxins, carcinogens, and endocrine disruptors that could lead to infertility later in life. And my kids puked every time I tried to use it. So I ended up, once I learned that, there was no one I was going to give that away to. It went right in the, in the trash. And I want those kinds of products off the market. It does not belong being for sale in this country. And that's what Made Safe is designed to do. What we do is we lead with the certification, this symbol that says something was quite literally made with safe ingredients to the best available science we can tell. And then people can shop that seal and know their products are safe, and we can shift share. And if we shift enough share, what we think is about 5% of share, we'll get people, bigger companies really, to change what they're doing. They might not do it for the right reasons, what we consider the right reasons, but we don't care. What we want is just for them to do it. And so we want to empower shoppers around the country to change supply chains around the world. So it's a really big and ambitious project.
What were some of the other products that you discovered with your kids that were bad?
Bad. And I say this, and I always like to tell people, when I talk, I can be really scary. I like to say, tell me something you love and I'll ruin it. But, I say that, and on the flip side, I also say there's so much that you can do. So while I tell you what I found was bad, I will tell you I have found a replacement for every single thing. This doesn't have to be an absolute, what was me and I give up forever. What I want people to do is know that there's an empowerment that follows. There's something else. There's something that was made better. And that's why I didn't start my own company to make products. I wanted to shine the light on the products that are better. So in my house, mattresses, those were a huge one. Found that most baby products in general are sprayed or contain something called flame retardants. Flame retardants are among the worst, most toxic chemicals in your home. 80% of things for newborns contain flame retardants. These bioaccumulate. They don't break down in the environment for hundreds of years. They stick around. They're really toxic. So I certainly didn't want those in my crib mattress. And I didn't want my crib mattress to be wrapped in, though very convenient, a PVC casing, which makes the mattress entirely, impermeable, whatever happens with a kid. We all know babies can be messy. But the problem is PVC is a known carcinogen. So getting a safer baby mattress was huge for me. And it's one of the things that we've certified at Made Safe. We use a company called Naturepedic, and I just admire them enormously because it was started by a grandfather who happened to be an environmental engineer and couldn't find a baby mattress that didn't contain all these nasty materials that would off-gas for the life of the mattress. And so, took this entrepreneurial stance, which we love. We love innovation for good. So that was one. Things that, a lot of the toys, things that babies put in their mouth, I found those can be really harmful. If they're made from a petroleum product or just a typical plastic, they may leach what are called endocrine disruptors. And those endocrine disruptors mess with our body's hormones. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, hormones, whatever, what does that mean? Really, endocrine disruptors? But endocrine disruptors are a class of chemicals that impact all kinds of things, everything from the way we sleep to our hunger and also our fertility or infertility. And endocrine disruptors don't have to be impacting the right here and right now. They can be impacted now, and that can play out in 20 or 30 years. And that was just kind of mind-blowing because you're thinking, okay, what's happening now really does have impact, and I may not know it or be able to identify it then. But if I remove these, we know that blood levels of these chemicals go down. So I want to remove them, right? I want to take them out as much as I can. And so that was another thing. Our couches are very toxic. Again, it's that foam found in mattresses, and the couches and the mattresses, the flame retardants in them, they settle. They're very big molecules, polymers, and they tend to be heavy. So they settle onto the ground, into your house dust. Those little dust bunnies we've all have and found around our house? Those are actually really toxic. Where do babies live? They live on the floor. Everything goes in their mouth. So one piece of advice to anyone out there with small children and pets especially is do a wet mop of the common areas of your house frequently. Just a damp paper towel. Sometimes I'll just do it like with my hands. You don't have to have a tricky tool. If you have something like a Swiffer style thing, you can just use a damp paper towel. Fragrance, another biggie, anything with fragrance is often a back door for chemicals because you don't have to label what's in fragrance. So you can have all kinds of things kind of sneak into products that way. So I learned a ton, and that's just a little bit of, the starting point.
Now we focused on your kids, and for good reason. Tell us a little bit about what we as adults should be mindful of.
So, people always ask me, well, okay, now I've learned that there are all these toxins in all of our stuff, over 85,000 chemicals. What do I do? I'm never going to remember that. And I say, start with what you're about to buy next, because you can really do that. Just make a better decision for what you're going to buy next. If you want to go on a journey of making starting to live what I like to call a no-tox life, no-tox living, non-toxic, if you will, then you might want to take on something bigger. And I would start with the bedroom, whether it's for you or your kids, because, young children spend about 50% of their time sleeping. You spend a third of your adult life resting and sleeping. And your body does amazing stuff when you sleep. When you sleep, your body's designed to recharge, restore, and re-energize. How it does that is by detoxing. And our bodies have, evolved to very cleverly detox and detox very well. Except we live in a toxic age, unlike any that has ever come before us. And so it's actually quite challenging for our bodies in this day and age to just get rid of everything. So if you can make a clean bedroom, then your body, at least when it's at rest, can do its work as it needs to. And that sets you up for a better day. So getting enough sleep, having a bed that doesn't contain flame retardants, a room that doesn't contain flame retardants, so they're not in your wider air, and perhaps looking at getting an air filter, doing things like unplugging your Wi-Fi at night, or at the very least removing taking your phone and putting it into another room, not having Wi-Fi. So you might have a cordless phone in your home, not having that right next to the bed. Everything should be at least like 6 feet from the bed, even your alarm clock. Having it further from your bed, not having kind of what I would call an electromagnetic buzz happening right near your head where you're sleeping, having a clear area. I think that we will see, if you're studying the field that I'm studying, you're seeing these studies that are correlating electromagnetic frequency and cancers, particularly brain cancers, and we are so reliant on our technology, and frankly, myself included, but I'm really careful about nighttime, giving my body a break.
That's a great tip. Well, Amy, you are becoming quite a role model, quite an example for people in the world on this topic. But who do you look up to as a role model?
Yeah, it's a great question. There are so many amazing people to look up to, but one who stands out for me is Jane Goodall. I love animals, and so she's sort of a natural fit there. But what really speaks to me about what Jane Goodall has done with her life is she has devoted speaking for animals who cannot speak or voice for themselves. And there are a lot of people, when I think about the work that I do, who don't even know what a body burden is, who've never been educated on this stuff. And I feel like it is my job to fight for them and to fight for the children ages 0 to 6 who are most particularly vulnerable to all of these exposures. And they don't have a voice to do that right now. And so that's really, I look up to her as an incredible role model, and am just in awe of how much she has accomplished in her lifetime, and yet very aware of how much there is left for all of us to do.
Yeah, a great choice. Jane Goodall is just an amazing and inspiring human being.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, I want to ask you for what we call an impact hack, some tip that would help us to do more good in the world. What's yours?
Well, is it Made Safe related that I get to say as my hack, or is it just
anything?
Well, the obvious one is buy Made Safe, because by buying Made Safe, you are voting with your dollars, you are voting for your health and well-being, and you are telling companies, we do not want toxic chemicals in our things. And the other simple one, which is just a rule to live by, is, be kind. And that is my biggest life hack, and things that I always say to my children is, was that as kind as you could possibly have been in that moment? Because that's the challenge, right, for all of us. And if everybody was thinking about being kind, I think we'd live in a different world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Amy, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Before you go, tell us how people can learn more about Made Safe, how you can find Made Safe products in the store, how people can connect with you.
Well, they should first visit www.madesafe.org and sign up for our emails so they can keep in touch and learn. We are still a new organization and we're constantly rolling out products. So get on that list and be the first to know. And then share Made Safe with everyone you love, so that they can find safe products as well for themselves and their families. And do that by going to Facebook. We are at Made Safe. And hashtag us Made Safe when you think of things, and find us on Twitter at Made Safe HQ.
Fantastic. Well, Amy, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every success in cleaning up our toxic world.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All righty, let's do some good.